We are live. Excuse me. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover absolutely everything about college football because we love college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this rebel outpost with a donation to help us keep the lights on. Hit that $, make a comment, and we'll get you a super chat as quick as we possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway in Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend. With your comments and with your phone calls later in the show. It is April 4. It's April 4. April 7th is right around the corner here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. We are 3 days away. And we have, and I said it yesterday, we have made an executive decision. On April 7th, we are going to just wait for the 7-hour event to happen in the courtrooms. We are going to pile up all the reporting that is going on. There are going to be some college football reporters and such watching it on Zoom After it all is done, there's going to be more reporting. And then that is when we're going to come on live so we can capture the results of this April 7th hearing at Judge Wilkins' courtroom in California. So that's what we're going to do on April 7th. Don't know when we're going to come on live. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have your notifications open, turned on to this YouTube channel, and keep your head on a swivel, because we will come on live when we can report holistically. That's the word of this week. Holistically, everything that went down in Judge Wilkins' courtroom. Today, we're going to be talking about Gordian's knot. That was the phrase used in the article from Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports. Dennis Dodd is retiring here pretty soon. When I read this article, it felt like the last salvo, the last marching orders. Go storm the gates. Let's crack it open. Let's create this Super League. And a lot of really smart people think it's going to happen, or it could happen, or it should happen. But the phrase Gordian knot was used in this article, and I pondered it for a moment. What would it take for the Gordian knot to unravel? What would it take to get this Super League going? We're talking about a Super League of 70 to 72 teams or 60. We're really not talking about the Big Ten SEC breakaway of 40, 44, 48 schools. I think we all believe that is a higher chance. Most of us believe that's a higher chance of happening. It could happen. I have said that for 3 years on this YouTube channel, but I'm not a believer in the 70 or 72. But that is what Dennis Dodd is talking about here. They're bringing in a lot more than just 40 or 48 schools. He's talking about that ideas, concepts that have been presented by big money backing it up. The two concepts that has had some support from West Virginia's president, from North Carolina athletic director, even Tennessee's athletic director, Notre Dame's former athletic director, so on and so forth. Syracuse president. So what would it take for everybody to unravel from themselves so it could give birth to this Super League? We are going to be talking about that. And we got a couple other stories, very interesting stories that we're going to cover. The California Bears, the major booster, is calling on the other donors of the California Bears athletics and said, we are going to basically turn off the money spigot if you don't put Mr. Rivera in charge of everything when it comes to California Bear football. He's been hired as the general manager, but this booster wants him in charge of everything. Everything. And they're pointing to Stanford, Andrew Luck. They're pointing at the rival, Stanford, and what they've done. The major California Bear booster wants the same thing to happen for the California Bears. It's a standoff. And we're also going to be talking about the post heard around the soup kitchen. What did Texas State's president Did he mean what we think he meant? He wants a full bowl of soup, or he wants nothing at all. He doesn't want any soup. If he don't get he's not looking for a cup of soup. Alexander he's gonna get more of a shot. He's gonna get more of a shot out here at PATC. Just everybody hang on. Everybody hang on. We're gonna get to that tough Tony. Is it did what the Texas state president said on X? Is that about soup, or is that about something else? If it's about something else, if it's about the Pac-12, what if it is? If it is, and I don't know if it is, I want to hear your opinion on it. But if what Texas state president said, if that is about the Pac-12, should he have said that? Number one. But number two, I kind of like the guy's style, to be honest with you. The fat guy from Minnesota. The fat guy from Minnesota. The fat guy from Minnesota understands the analogy or the image. I love the image that the Texas State Bobcat president put out there. You give me a full bowl of soup, or you give me nothing. But outside of food, is Texas State president saying to the Pac-12, you give us full share, or adios, amigo, amiga. We'll just stay in the Sun Belt. Let me know what you think. We're going to go over his post. It's been the post heard around the college athletic world. Texas State Bobcat. There's no question about it. In our last, not our last live show, but a couple live shows ago, it was part of our show that we finally were able to, we had credible reports that Texas State was in the mix on all the scenarios, and then the most likely university that's going to move to the Pac-12. And maybe, just maybe, Texas State Bobcat president is saying, hold up a moment here. We are worth what Utah State is worth. We are worth what Gonzaga coming in as a basketball only is worth. So we're going to go over that. We've got a big show today. I can't wait to get to it. Let's go into a roll call. Ryan Brooks, the Tiger, LSU Tiger, is in the house. A lion, a tiger, then a lion. Charlie Atwood is here. Then a duck, Jimmy Austin, the Walking Geek, the Buckeye Ramirez, Mr. Seminole, Opie is in the house. Mr. Mountaineer, Jeff Morgan, RT, Mr. Monkey Says, Big Gunshot, the Seminole, Daniel Gorby, the Seminole, Daniel Gorby, RT is in the house. Clemson Tiger is in the house. Ute, Steel Austin, Greg the Gold, you got that right. It's going to happen this year, baby. It's going to happen. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, Nathan Campbell is here. CFB Plus is here. Good evening. The MAC champion, Ohio Bobcat, Stephen Vitt is in the house. Breeze Frey is here. Gold Nose, Stephen McNeely. Tough Tony, Stormy Cyclone, Super League going down like the stock market did today. Texas State wants a full share. I don't know. Look, all I can do is present the post, and then you all let me know what you think. Maybe it was just about soup. Maybe that post was only about soup. Maybe it wasn't about the Pac-12. Maybe. But I got a feeling that it was about the Pac-12. It was about the Pac-12. It was about the Pac-12. Right? Right? Was it? Was it? No soup for you. David Kreitzer is in out. Jonathan Price. What's going on? A lot of things are going on. A lot of things are going on. New Mexico State is an R1 school. Might settle for less. Could be. Could be. Big Ears Bo is in the house. Helmer Hennessy, the Wolverine. If the SEC offers UNC full share, but refuses to take UVA, Helmer Henderson loves boxing me in on these great questions. And the Big Ten only offers UNC, UVA half shares each. What does North Carolina realistically do? Let me answer that. Let me answer that super chat this way. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't. I have been hearing lately some really smart people on college football YouTube channels dismissing the idea of Virginia to the SEC. I would say not so fast. I don't think that's going to be an issue. From what I've heard and what I've continued to hear, I think UVA is in a very good spot. Now, obviously, if the SEC actually offered North Carolina a full share but refuses to take UVA, I just don't think that's going to happen. I mean, UVA would come in at a half share to the SEC if needed. But I don't think it's going to happen, Helmer. I know you're trying to give me a scenario, but I just don't think the SEC wants UNC. They got a pro rata going on there. I don't think how do I put this? I don't think ESPN, if ESPN needs more than North Carolina and Virginia, I think the answer is bringing on Florida State and Clemson. I don't. Okay, let me answer it this way. I think there's a much better chance. Now, boy, a lot of people are going to disagree with me here, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I think there's a much better chance that the SEC brings on North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson all in one fell swoop than bringing on North Carolina without Virginia. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll take the big L. But there's a reason why we said North Carolina and Virginia are joined at the hip. We believe the SEC is pursuing them as joined. We believe that the Big Ten is pursuing them as joined. North Carolina and Virginia have made commitments to each other way long time ago when it comes to conference affiliation. And we think they're going to keep their commitments to each other. They continue to talk with each other more than any other two schools are talking with each other. We have reasons why we put that live show together. And I think, again, I think the Big Ten would love to get North Carolina. But that means the Big Ten would have to do something that I don't think their media partners are willing to do. And that is to give North Carolina a full share, Virginia a full share, Oregon a full share, Washington a full share, all in one fell swoop During this media package, I just don't see that happening. I think the SEC has the advantage, and I think North Carolina and Virginia know where they sit. So, what does North Carolina realistically do? I think they'd probably say I think they'd probably just wait it out then. I can't really answer that, Hummer Henderson, because I do not believe that UNC and Virginia, I think they're coming together. I think there has been, while there hasn't been years of first party talks, I have every reason to believe that the SEC is pursuing both of them, and they know they're going for both of them. I don't think there's going to be any quick pivot. I don't think in pro wrestling terms, I don't think Greg Sankey is going to turn heel at the very last second and have North Carolina stab Virginia in the back. Okay? I don't think Greg Sankey is going to ask North Carolina to be the John Cena to Virginia Cody Rhodes. But again, I might be wrong. Thank you, Hammer Henderson, for the super chat. Great questions, as always. Thank you so very much. Jeff Morgan is in the house. Stephen Vitt. Thank you, Hammer Henderson, for your super chat. Helping us keep the lights on here. I very much appreciate it. Do you still hold to SEC not being interested in Miami? It would shock the hell out of me. How about them apples? That would be a shocker. Is Miami a valuable, when we're talking about interest, does SEC, do they know the value of Miami and everything? Yes. If they completely go cold stone on Florida State, and I don't think the SEC has much interest in Miami. I don't think the SEC has much interest in the totality of their candidates. I don't think they're looking at private schools at all. That is why Duke is below these other these other schools. I think they're a little bit below Georgia Tech when it comes to the candidacy to the Big Ten. A live shot, a long shot though. I don't think the SEC has much interest in Miami at all. Again, thank you for the super chat, Helmer Hennessy. Thank you so very much. We have got a stacked show today. Holy smokes. Okay, let's get to it. Have you heard major donors? Let me pop this up a little bit. Major donors to California Collective revolting against California football program. The major donors are revolting. It's the scenario that we've all envisioned the moment we all learned about the existence of collectives back in 2021. What happens when a collective in the football program it supports disagrees? Does the money spigot shut off? And this is why we are here at Peek Around the Corner. This is why we have been, our information, there's a load of how do I put this? A good part of our sources, our Rolodex, is from the money purchase. It's how we broke the USC story. It helped us break many, many, many stories over the last decade because the big money has more of the power than ever before. So this is not a surprise. This is not a shocker. It was going to happen somewhere, and I'm sure it's happened in a few places where it hasn't been publicized and they've been able to get whatever problem solved before it broke out in public. Kevin Kennedy, president of the California Legends Collective, the only collective supporting the Golden Bears, has stopped donating to the football program and has encouraged others to do the same until the athletic department meets his singular demand. One demand. You gotta meet Kevin Kennedy, the president of the collective. His one demand. It's not one we could have envisioned back in 21. He doesn't want California to pursue a certain recruit or transfer. He doesn't want the coaching staff to play one quarterback over another. He doesn't want head coach Justin Wilcox fired. Instead, Kevin Kennedy wants California to follow the rival down the road, to follow Stanford's lead by putting newly appointed general manager Ron Rivera in charge of the football program. The irony here, Stanford hired Luck largely because California football has owned them of late. The Bears have beaten the Cardinal 4 straight times. California wants to follow what Stanford's doing. Put Rivera in charge of everything in football. The Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year and consensus All-American for the Golden Bears in 1983. Rivera returned to his alma mater last month on a 3-year contract, paying him $800,000 a year, except, unlike Stanford, Rivera doesn't have explicit oversight over all things football. Rivera will report to Chancellor Rich Lyons, while Wilcox reports to athletic director Jim Knowlton. Now, that is a horrible structure. Can you imagine? Your general manager is reporting to the chancellor. Your coach is reporting to the athletic director. You've got 2 separate trees of authority. You don't hire, back to the article, you do not hire Mario Andretti and ask him to sit in the passenger seat, right? Kevin Kennedy said, told SF Gate, there's a reason that you bring someone like that on staff in order to give him control. Give him control. Then you also give him accountability. The structure that California has now, no one's going to be accountable if it fails. The CLC lists 4 members on its board of directors, sitting next, that is the collective, sitting next to Kennedy, who helped take companies like Telsa, NB, Lumen public in the business career of private equity managing director Greg Richardson, retired insurance executive John Stock, and Stephanie Rivera, Ron's wife. The irony here, there's no evidence yet that Luck has given Stanford a competitive edge over California. Well, he's only been there for a little bit. He just fired Troy Taylor. But only after ESPN reported that Stanford had previously commissioned multiple investigations into Taylor's workplace behavior. Okay, so that's basically the story here, guys. California Collective, the president of the collective, is telling he has shut off. He's not supporting the football program. He's encouraged the other boosters to turn the money spigot off until Ron Rivera is in complete control over the football program. Now, you might think this ain't right, Craig. This is not right. The president and the athletic director, they're hired. The athletic director especially is hired to make these decisions. But I think you gotta bend the knee if you're California. I think you gotta have it. If you're gonna bring a general manager in, you gotta put him above the athletic director or below the athletic director. Either way, either the general manager is accountable to the athletic director or the athletic director is accountable to the general manager. But you got to have accountability. You can't have two separate streams of authority because then no one's going to be held accountable. Like in Stanford, Andrew Luck is the guy. Now, their Stanford Cardinal is going to hire an athletic director. And he's going to be overlooking all these sports. Stanford has a huge amount of sports, very successful. A big job, an athletic director at Stanford is a big job, big bandwidth on that job. Andrew Luck, the general manager, is going to be completely in control of that football program. So I kind of agree with the booster. But even if I disagreed, what are you going to do? They're going to turn off that money spigot if you do not bend the knee. And I think you should bend the knee for more than one reason. The current structure at California with two separate trees of authority, man, that just doesn't work. We all know that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's difficult enough to win consistently in Berkeley in football. Don't make it more difficult. You've beaten Stanford 4 times in a row, but that Kevin Kennedy already sees that Stanford is built more, has more agility now to make decisions, to get things done, more accountability to its leaders with Andrew Luck calling the shots. Let me know your thoughts, comments in the comments section below the video, or let me know in a phone call what you think about the California story. Okay, let's get to Texas State, the president. The president of Texas State, who is being courted by the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is still looking for one full member to join the conference so they can have 8 full members. They need 8 full members, according to the NCAA rules. Here is the president, the post from Texas State president. On my way back to DCA, I stopped, he was in Washington, D.C. I stopped for a great lunch near the White House. People sometimes think that I'd be happy with half a bowl of soup. After all, a cup of soup is better than no soup at all. But for me, it's a full bowl or nothing. Back to God's country. And then he's got a couple Bobcats footprints next to back to God's country. People sometimes think I would be happy with half a bowl of soup. After all, a cup of soup, which is a half a bowl, is better than no soup at all. But for me, But for me, a full bowl or nothing. Is he talking about soup? Is the president talking about soup? Or is he talking about the Pac-12? Has the Pac-12, in negotiations with Texas State, was their best offer, or is their current offer half share to Texas State? Now, let's be clear on something. A half share to the Pac-12, Texas State would be making more than they do now in the Sun Belt. So maybe now if this is about the Pac-12, maybe the Texas State president making sure in this negotiations, he's saying, look, maybe you would anticipate that I would be happy with a half share, with a cup of soup, because it's more than what I was getting before, which was basically nothing in the Sun Belt. But for me, for Texas State, we want it all. We want the full share, or we'll just stay where we are. No soup. Could it be even more drastic? Could it be that the Texas State president is already prepping the field, so to speak, just making sure, letting people know that they'd have declined the offer or potential offer? Like, he's letting everybody know, if it comes down to it, if Texas State does not become a member of the Pac-12, that the Texas State president is saying, look, just letting you all know, we weren't satisfied with a half a share. What do you guys think? Or was that post about soup? Now, for me, the fat guy from Minnesota, when I go to Zupas, and I don't know if you've ever been to Zupas, it's Zupas. Me and the wife go there for a salad and a soup. Sometimes I get the full bowl, sometimes I get the half bowl. It all depends what I'm feeling like. The mushroom soup, I just need a half. The Wisconsin cheese cauliflower soup, I pass. No, don't want any. The lobster brisk, give me the full one. Give me the full bowl. So again, it depends on what type of soup I'm getting. Texas State Bobcats, the president, if this was about the Pac-12, he's looking at the soup. He's like, we want the full thing, or we're not going to take any. Because let's be honest, there is a calculation here that Texas State has to make, and that is travel. They're going to have to go west every single trip. So all of our student athletes have to go west. We got travel costs. We might have to have a little bit of more recruiting costs, because maybe we've got to recruit more out west. And so if we're going to take that soup, or if we're going to go in the Pac-12, we need the full soup. We need everything that the Pac-12 can offer, a full share. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section and with your phone calls after the monologue is over. John Teal, thank you for the super chat. Thank you again for your generosity, John Teal. It depends on the soup. If it's tomato out of the can, then pass on a half bowl. But if it's lobster bisque, what I just said, I'll lick that half bowl or full bowl. Thank you, John Till. You and I are in absolutely agreement. Tortilla soup. Worst comes to worst, he would take the half share. Woo. I don't know, man. Hey, John Till, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your generosity, John Till. I very much appreciate it. Nice to see you back in the house, too. I don't know, Mr. Morgan. I don't know. I mean, let's pretend that this post had nothing to do with the Pac-12 negotiations, had nothing to do with the Pac-12 payout. I think enough people have taken it the way I'm taking it, that it was about the Pac-12 payouts. So I don't know. Boy, I don't know, man. I don't know if he can go back from this, even if it wasn't intentional, and I think it was. Rumor North Texas might take that deal. Well, North Texas would have to have a big buyout. And now, when we did our live show, we thought that the number one likelihood is that Texas State would go alone. The number two likelihood is Texas State and North Texas go together. And if those two things are not happening, the third most likely is somehow UNLV, that the Pac-12 was able to make some sort of mediation deal with the Mountain West Conference, and UNLV was part of that deal, and the Mountain West Conference is going to get the money that they thought they were going to get. Something crazy like that. So North Texas is in our... That's what we've been told. Now, just recently, I believe North Texas president said, we haven't had any discussions with the Pac-12. I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe that. So, yeah, there is North Texas stuff out there. Boy, I don't know if they'd be... They would have to come up with some money. They have an exit fee in the AAC. And so I think North Texas would only go if they got a full share, in my opinion. Holy smokes. Mr. Hoosier, Ricky Tungate, 5 gifted memberships, Crab Cakes in Football, Richard Brookins, Adam Antiberos, Ralph P. Jamie, Bangos Girl, Mrs. Arkansas Razorback. I hope everybody is okay in Arkansas after the bad storms and rain. I don't think Jamie lives in Arkansas right now. I think she lives in a different southern state. But whatever. Arkansas, prayers for Arkansas. Jeff, Richard, Adam, Ralph, Jamie. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Ricky Tungate when you get the chance. Ricky, thank you so very much. All of you. All of you are officially knighted. Cloak and Dagger, official members of our program. Thank you so very much. You're the man, Ricky. Absolutely. Good man, Ricky. Absolutely. Mr. Hoosier. Day one, Rob. I think Texas State and one more go to the Pac. I bet North Texas. I think there's a chance of that happening, day one, Rob. But what do you think, day one, Rob? What do you think, Movie Time Blues? What do you think, AMAC, The Observer, and everybody else, Mr. Hoosier, Ricky Tungate, Go Black 45. With a hat like that, you must get a free bowl of soup. That's Caddyshack. Caddyshack, Go Black 45. Caddyshack. What do you guys think? Was that post, let me put it up again. Was that post from Berkeley, California, Golden Bears, Berkeley president. Was this post about soup or was it about the Pac-12's offer? On my way back to DC-8, I stopped for a great lunch near the White House. People sometimes think I'd be happy with a half a bowl of soup. After all, a cup of soup is better than no soup at all. But for me, it's a full bowl or nothing. Back to God's country. I think it's a very clever way to communicate. To say, look, Texas State, we're gonna get the full share or we're not leaving. I think it's a clever way for him to communicate that. Now I'm just guessing here, guys. I don't know for sure. But I think, look, he knows everybody's talking about the potentiality of the Sun Belt school that's been emerging. It's got a big alumni. It's got a lot of students. Texas State. Suburb of Austin, basically, where it's located. Everybody, he's got to know that everyone's talking about this possibility. He's got to know that if he really put that post out and he's talking about actual soup, that people would misinterpret it. Not only that, but he hasn't responded. If it was a misinterpretation, if I'm misinterpreting it, if you all are misinterpreting it, the president hasn't come out and said, no, you misinterpret. I was actually talking about soup. He hasn't done that. So I think he was talking about the Pac-12's offer. So in the sake of argument, in the sake of discussion, if he was talking about the Pac-12's offer, do you think Texas State president made the wrong choice by saying full share or no share? And do you think he made the wrong choice in putting this post out in public? Let me know in your comments. Let me know in your let me know with your phone calls. Rock and Rant. That post was as much about soup as you posting about wanting a cheeseburger would be. Well, I know I would be if I'm posting that I want a cheeseburger. You got to know, guys. I'm somebody's got a gun to my head, or someone has broken into my X account. But I'm not 100% sure that wasn't about soup. Because the fat guy from Minnesota, I would put something out there like that. I'd be like, full bowl, baby. The fat guy from Minnesota, give me a full, don't give me a half a cup. Don't give me, I would say something like, because I'm the fat guy from Minnesota. But I don't know this guy. I don't know the president. I don't know if he's got a sense of humor. I don't know if he loves soup. I don't know if he's a foodie. But I tend to agree with Rock and Rant. I think this is about the Pac-12 negotiations. And if it is it the wrong decision to say half doesn't work for us, brother? It's either full share or we're good. We're good in the Sun Belt. And again, a half share in the Pac-12 is going to be more than a full share in the Sun Belt, but you've got that extra cost. You got that extra wear and tear on your student athletes. You're taking the core of your recruiting grounds. You're probably going to have to go a little bit west. It's tough, man. So, you know what? I don't blame the Texas State president for saying full share or we're not going. I don't blame him. I think it's the correct call. But let me know. Let me know. Did this guy take communication lessons from J.D. Wacko? Greg would get kicked out and told to come back in 1 year. NBM. If I was kicked out of a soup joint that I love, and I was told to come back in 1 year, I would just go in disguise. Yep. I would go in disguise. I would put a big old orange cowboy hat on myself, put a big old black mustache right across here. I'd come in as a Oklahoma State cowboy, wearing the orange. That's what I would do. And they would give me a bowl of soup. I would change my accent, my thick northern Minnesota accent. I would change it to Oklahoma accent, and I would get my bowl of soup. How about them apples? Okay, we got one more story to get to here. John Teal. What if the Pack posted a picture of that soup guy? John Teal. What if the Pack posted a picture of that soup guy from Seinfeld, directed at Texas State, and said, "No soup for you. I'll die laughing." That was a great super chat, John Till. Thank you so much for your generosity. That would be beautiful. But then again, who controls California Berkeley's X account? I mean, how many people do they have to go through to get it okayed and make sure it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings? And the way they run that football program with two different trees of responsibility, boy, I don't know, man. I don't know. Thank you, John Till. Thank you so much again for your generosity. Let's get to Gordian's knot. Greg would order cheese fries without the bacon. Absolutely. 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 The live show from a treadmill at Planet Fitness would be great. If I did a live show from a treadmill at Planet Fitness, if I did that, are you talking about me watching me on TV? That's fine. But if you think I'm going to do a live stream on a treadmill, it would be a very great show for about 45 seconds. Then they would have to bring a big stretcher in. They would have to get 4 guys to roll me on that stretcher. The stretcher would have to be on rollers, have to be on wheels. They would have to somehow get me through the door of Planet Witness, onto the ambulance, resuscitation, oxygen mask, get me to the hospital, and then we can finish up with your phone calls while I'm in the hospital during the live show. That's how it would go if we did a live show at Planet Fitness. Nitroglycerin? Sure. Don't say tree around Cal fans. My mistake. Movie Time Blues. My mistake. Okay, let's get to the big story. Let's get to the big, gigantic story. We're not going to go through this whole article. In fact, we're going to really go through it fast. I want to get to your phone calls. Dennis Dodd. Is college football undervalued? America's second most popular game, still leaving billions on the table. And I think when I read this, it was like Dennis Dodd's last salvo, right? Using the platform of CBS Sports. You know, he wants to rip everything up. He wants the Super League to come on in. He wants there to be more health for a lot of athletic departments out there that are outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, ripe for venture capitalists and mega streaming deals down the line. College football's bottom line is getting astronomical. Astronomical. There's no argument college football is the nation's second most popular sport when factoring ratings, attendance, hype, and of course, the billions that it generates. In a parallel universe, there is little argument that the game is undervalued, perhaps even tremendously so. In fact, as we enjoy this off season, before season 156, there is a crossroads looming. To that point, there's so much money being left on the table in major college football that something has to give. We are in a fork in the road. Casey Wasserman, who's a big-time booster for UCLA Bruins, a powerful entertainment sports executive. College football is either leaving the current structure and keeping all the money, or they're staying. It's not that complicated. The reckoning Wasserman is referring to, the revelation of the Super League in Project Rudy. Super League is proposing 72 teams, while Project Rudy would feature 70. There are currently 134 FBS programs. But both proposals would be a further reflection of what the Power 4 commissioners have done with conference realignment. More consolidation, but just in a different way. I don't particularly understand that sentence. I don't know how a Super League brings on more consolidation. But anyways, it's a story. If your story says there are far greater selling power with conferences rolling all their rights together at the same time in a unified way, said one Group of 5 commissioner, then you're literally not missing a thing. Okay. So basically, the theory is if everybody got together and sold their media rights together, everybody would make more money. And I'm not quite buying that. Okay, let's say the top 72 teams got all together and sold their rights together. Would they be able to bring in more money than the SEC? Okay, maybe if you're bringing in private capital is all part of this. But would if you had 72 teams, all their content being negotiated at one time, would that bring in more money if versus the Big Ten and the SEC combining their content and selling it off? I still haven't figured out why 70 or 72 teams of the Super League or the Rudy Project would bring in more money for each school. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but people believe it. Now, we're going to get back to the article, and we're going to get into Gordian's knot here. Okay? Here it is right here. If I can hit the right button. Unraveling that relationship. Okay. So, right, for this discussions, it's all about the media rights of Benjamins. That's where the majority of the revenue comes from major college sports. Ticket and sponsorship revenue lag behind that revenue stream, the media revenue stream, right? Unraveling that relationship for a single entity college football LLC is like trying to untie a Gordian knot. The SEC's got their relationship with ESPN. They've got their SEC network. The Big Ten's got their relationship with Fox and with other networks. NBC, CBS, Big Ten Network. That's been built. All that would have to be untied, the Gordian knot, for a Super League to actually to have a birth of a Super League. The Gordian knot would have to be untied. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, what the heck is a Gordian knot? What are you talking about? The legend in Greek mythology, King Gordius in modern day Turkey tied a complex knot on the yoke of his ox cart and dedicated it to Zeus. The oracle's prophecy, an oracle foretold that whoever could untie that knot would rule all of Asia. Alexander's solution. Centuries later, Alexander the Great, while wintering in Gordium, attempted to untie the knot, but found no loose ends. Instead of trying to unravel it, he famously drew his sword and sliced the knot in half, fulfilling the prophecy in conquering Asia. The metaphor, the phrase, cutting the Gordian knot, now signifies a creative or decisive solution to a seemingly intractable problem. What is the solution? So the people who are in favor of a Super League, of a 70, 72, 60 team Super League, how do you unravel the Gordian knot? How do you slice through it? What needs to happen? The fact the game is trending away from the traditional financial model cannot be denied. CBS Sports has learned at least one venture capital entity, venture capital entity had interest in buying into a Power 4 athletic department. Former Milwaukee Bucks co-owner Mark Lazary has become an industry leader in investing in unvalued sports. He was questioned by CNBC recently why he went hard into pro bull riding. And then we're talking about here the media rights, right? For now, realignment has largely been muted because the media right contracts are more or less aligned. But those deals will expire on or around 2030 at an intersection of streaming and venture capital looking to make giant investments in the sport. For those media rights contracts that expire in 2030, 31, that's the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the college football playoffs, those discussions will have to start as early as 3 years from now. So if you're going to be unraveling that Gordian knot, if you don't want the Big Ten to entangle themselves more into another contract, then this has got to, the unraveling of the knot's got to happen at least 3 years from now. So here's the problem. When I read this article, and I will provide a link, you can go on X and look at Dennis Dodd's and He's got the article there. It's a long one. It would take us hours to go through it. I'm going to leave it as the way it is right now. I think you got the point. Dennis Dodd and others would love a Super League. You can tell that he's pro Super League, and other people are as well. They think that this is the right way to go. He talked about, Dennis Dodd later in the article talked about how the big money is sitting there. Netflix, Google, they want in. Amazon, these streaming companies. My counterpoint is, yeah, they want in, and they're probably going to get in. But do they really need a Super League to come on in? I think we're gonna find out there is some evidence that the SEC and Netflix are starting to have some sort of relationship. I think we're going to see some evidence of that pretty soon. I think the Big Ten is probably going to start a relationship with another streaming giant. I think this stuff is going to come on in. I think Brett Yormark, and we've talked about it on this show over and over and over again. Brett Yormark, one of the big reasons why he's trying to get private capital into the Big 12, trying to get everybody on board, is so that they have a relationship built with somebody that has a big-time relationship with a streaming giant. So when Brett Yormark goes into the next media negotiations, that he's got a streaming giant in his back pocket. That he doesn't have to bend the knee on the first offer that his current media partners will give him. Brett Yormark wants to get in the position that Jim Delaney was in versus ESPN at the negotiation table. That is one of the big reasons why Brett Yormark is trying to get done what he's trying to get done with private capital. Here is, this would be my last point, and then we're going to get to your phone calls. And I have made this point before. So there's a Gordian knot, right? The Gordian knot is the Big Ten is wrapped up in Big Ten stuff. Their contracts, their network. The SEC is wrapped up in SEC stuff. The SEC network, their contracts. They're making, they're looking at things from an SEC standpoint, from their self-interest. The Big 12 is sitting there. They're trying to get a private capital deal done. So is the Big 10. So are some other G5 conferences. The ACC's got a lot of different things going on. They got an unequal revenue sharing plan. They've got a success initiative. So they got a bunch of stuff going on. They're all making decisions in the future about where they're going to, like the ACC, they just made a decision on where they're going to hold the women's dirt conference basketball tournament, I think in 27 and 28. So that's the Gordian knot, right? That's the Gordian knot. But as this article pointed out, Dennis Dodd, some of that Gordian knot goes away in 2030, 31. A large part of that unravels. But here is my point in this. I believe we're going to have evidence real soon that Gordian knot is going to be even more complicated. I think the SEC is going to put more, that rope is going to get a little bit longer, wrapped around a little bit tighter. The Big Ten, I think we're going to find evidence pretty soon that nobody is thinking, at least from the Big Ten, they're not thinking of unraveling their portion of the Gordian knot in 2027 or 28. Alexander the Great did not try to unravel that knot. He pulled out his sword and just slashed it. Who is holding the sword? Who is holding the sword is not a commissioner, not a president. Who is holding the sword is that huge money that's sitting on the table outside of the room, right? Private capital, private equity. They're the one that is holding the sword. And the sword, what is the sword? Massive amount of money. So a private capital is trying to come in and say, okay, this is the only way to take care of this problem. We're going to overwhelm you with wealth. We're going to overwhelm you to where the Big Ten and the SEC cannot say no. The big money is the sword, and we're going to cut this Gordian knot and shatter it. And the creation of the Super League is going to come. That is what I believe that they believe. That is what they're going to try to do. Overwhelm. Try to get the Buckeyes or Alabama on board. Try to get Georgia or Michigan on board and say, look at the money. You've got to untie yourselves from whatever you're doing because we're going to be able to offer you more. Hold on one second. What is Heather Dinich saying? Did Heather Dinich say something? What's going on? Did Heather Dinich try to call the show? Okay, so that's where I'm getting at here. Obviously, I do not believe that the Super League is going to happen unless it's the Big Ten and the SEC taking their ball, going home, separating from everybody, and doing so, expand bigger and just being their old. That is the only type of Super League that I think is going to have a chance of happening. I'm not a believer in the 70-72 team, but Dennis Dodd, I got to give him respect. He's retiring. He's been at this a long time. He knows. Other reporters have heard it. The chatter behind the curtain. There are serious people that want to get this done. There are serious people that want to see the Gordian knot done with. Cut. Everybody entangle from what they're doing and all become one. Let me know your thoughts and comments on how you think the Gordian knot of college football, the Gordian knot of college athletics can entangle from itself, and we can have the Super League that some people are dreaming of. Let me know what you think about the California situation with the boosters shutting off the spigot or anything else in college football. Let's open up the phone lines. 763-260-1333. Hold on a second here. We might be having problems with the phone lines. All right, try it. 763-260-1333. Hopefully the phone lines are working. What did Heather Dinich say? Can somebody tell me what Heather Dinich said? People are talking about Heather Dinich, or was this something she did in the past? Who's running the phones? Deloitte? Good question. Good question. I'm wondering if the phones are working here. Give me a call. Try to give me a call. 763-260-1333. The Macedonian King, McCain makes a rare appearance on College Football Talk Show. That's right. We are different. No question about it. No question about it. We are talking about the Gordian knot. Alexander the Great. Sounds like Bryce Underwood is getting a lot of steam out there. Bryce Underwood, of course, the number one quarterback, a true freshman. Okay, hold on one second here. Let me... Tony, what's the latest on the UFO activities? Well, number one. They still don't know what those drones were. But more importantly, on April 7th, Monday, the same day that we're going to get the Judge Wilkins possible ruling, on April 7th, from an organization, a private organization, funded privately, not by the government, Skywatcher, a team of scientists and ex-military and all that, they have supposedly they're going to come out Monday, April 7th, with one or two videos, with one or two images of a flying purple, maroon, metallic looking flying jellyfish. I ain't saying, but I'm saying supposedly a purple jellyfish with tentacles, a big head, and the tentacles are going back and forth like this. We're going to see videos and images.
From?
Hello, I did not get the name.
Oh, hey, Greg, it's Steele Austin.
Steele Austin, Mr. Ute, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you. I saw Dennis Dodd's article earlier today and read through it. I thought it was a good one.
Yeah. Yep.
I think a couple of things that kind of stood out to me. We always have a lot of people that will say, I don't understand how these conferences, meaning the SEC and the Big Ten, can keep on adding teams without becoming dilutive. And I think that article is a real good article that points out, the reason why they can continue to expand, because, there's still a lot of money to be made in college sports and college football and men's basketball. And, according to Dennis Dodd, there's a lot of, experts and people on the sidelines that see that they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And so, it makes sense to me that, these teams can still have room to grow and room to expand and take on new brands. There was one line in the article that really stood out to me. It said that something along the lines of, college football has double the viewership of the NBA, and yet it makes half the amount of media money.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty telling.
Yes.
So I don't know. I just, it seemed to me, and I was wondering your take, but I think one of the biggest areas where they're leaving a lot of money on the table is men's basketball, because it sounded like, the NCAA still runs the NCAA tournament, and the conferences are getting such a small portion of that revenue. If I understand correctly, in comparison to what they're making, the TV networks.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if they take that over, kind of like what they've done with the college football playoff, how much more money that could mean to these leagues. And that makes a lot of sense to me why the SEC would all of a sudden be really interested in basketball brands like North Carolina and Kansas. And,
That's exactly what's going on.
Do you agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's
the
going
other thing
on. And the Big 12 as well, because they're trying to get UConn into the conference. Yormark's trying to get it done. So, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the other thing too, what I think is going to really spike the revenue is, we've all been waiting for the streamers, for big tech to finally come off the sidelines and get involved. And it seems like 2030 is going to be the perfect storm for that to happen as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, they could really drive up the cost of everything, because they've just got limitless resources to do so.
Yep. Look, but I always get back to this. From a Super League perspective, let's take it from the SEC perspective, the Southeastern Conference. We believe here at Peek Around the Corner, and I think Sankey has hinted towards this, I think we're going to be finding out something about the SEC and Netflix. I think they made some sort of deal, like Hard Knocks type of deal. We'll find out more of that a little bit later this offseason.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think something happened
exciting.
there. But,
Wow.
I think from an SEC standpoint, I think Greg Sankey would say, streamers trying to come on in? Okay, we'll let them come on in. We'll let them come on into the SEC.
Sankey and Petiti do not need private equity or private capital.
Or maybe they
do. Need any of that.
Maybe they do. Maybe they want it. I mean, Petiti's already got some. But my point is, they would constantly say, we'll do it, but we'll do it ourselves. Or you know what I'm saying? It's not, we don't need
100%.
72 schools to do.
No, they don't need that Rudy concept or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's where, yeah.
Any of these great ideas that are being proposed, Petiti and Sankey could do themselves.
I think that's what their answer to all this is. Now, is it necessarily true all the time? I don't know. I'm not smart enough. But I think that's what I think they're constantly saying, well, we'll do it. The
only thing, Greg, that I think that is, if there's ever a way, and I don't know if there is, but you saw Petiti and Sankey go and meet privately for the first time in February, and it just makes me wonder if those two leagues could ever. I don't know how you do this when you've got two league commissioners that both want, their power. But if they could ever combine and pool their resources, that's the big issue. Is they're competing against each other for media dollars when they should be working together for media dollars.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what made the NFL so rich, right?
Yes. Maybe they'll do it. And I think that is the one possible, if you want to call it a super league, I think that's the one possibility of happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, hey, love your show, Greg.
You got it.
And appreciate everything you do, man.
You got it. I appreciate it.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
I see the comments. Thank you, Mr. Steele, for the great phone call once again. I see comments mocking the jellyfish. You're mocking the jellyfish. All I know, Skywatcher, I think that's the name of the organization. I might even have the name wrong. But we'll pick up that conversation on April 7th. Is going to be a wild day. It's going to be wild with college football. But maybe we'll pick that up a little bit on April 7th or April 8th. But I'm just telling you, man, science, baby. Science, video and images supposedly of a jellyfish flying around. And it's and it ain't no balloon, baby. It ain't no balloon. But we'll find out. We will find out. This is what Steele Austin said what parts of the Dennis Dodd's article that interested him. There's another part of the article that I want to show you. I put it out on X earlier today. And I posted, for me, the most interesting segment of the new CBS Sports article was the following. Sources tell CBS Sports to keep an eye on Otro. I do not know how to pronounce that. Somebody let me know. Otro Capital, an emerging firm run by former Redbird partners who specialize in sports, media, gaming, and entertainment. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Roy McIlroy, and actor Ryan Reynolds are among the investors.
All from
Larry Andrews.
Larry, can you hold on for just a moment, please?
Yeah, sure.
Appreciate it. I'm getting some noise coming through your phone here. Okay, there you go.
I think it's over now.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
So sources tell CBS Sports to keep an eye on Otro Capital, an emerging firm run by former Redbird partners who specialize in sports, media, gaming, and entertainment. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Roy McIlroy, and actor Ryan Reynolds are among the investors. So I looked up this Otro Capital. There's not much to read. I did see there's about 4 names linked as the founding fathers of partners and founding fathers of this capital firm. They broke off from Redbird Capital. The 4 names, I delved deep into 3 of them. And, boy, they got a lot. They're very wealthy people, okay? Like, extremely wealthy, successful. I mean, one guy was, I forget the name of the business. He, Wayward or way for an online business that you can buy furniture, whatever. He was like the poorest of the partners, and he's worth $1 billion something. There was one guy who was the former vice president of the Dallas Cowboys, another guy who's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. And then, they brought on these other investors. Now, sources tell CBS Sports to keep an eye on this capital firm. They are knocking on the doors in college athletics. So keep an eye on that. I thought that's the first time I've heard of them being involved in all this. So keep an eye on that. Larry, thanks for calling, sir. The floor is yours.
Well, Greg, I usually go against you on this Super League. I don't call it a Super League. But I think the 70 or 72 team league that gives everybody in that league the same exact financial support brings sports to the level where every school can compete against each other. I would love to see that. I think right now you've got teams making $100 million, you got teams making 40 that you just can't compete. They're trying. They have to go out and ask for every donor in the world to help them form a football team or a basketball team. And I'm not just talking about West Virginia. I'm talking about a lot of teams. You take Kansas State, I don't think they're a powerhouse. Iowa State, or that's just in the Big 12. But what I've understood from the sources that I've been looking at, they say that a capital where 70 or 72 teams go in together would come out with about $250 million or $220 million to $250 million each. And if they go all in on 70 or 72 teams, that would be a giant leap for even the Big Ten or the AC or the SEC. I don't know how possible that is, but it sounds like the greatest way to salvage college football, because you start dropping into two leagues, the SEC and the Big Ten, which are going to keep going bigger if you don't change. They're going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and then you're going to end up with the Big 12 and the ACC not being able to compete. You may end up with 44 teams or 40 teams. You're not going to be able to, that's not going to satisfy the people around the country. I think there's going to, the high school or the college is going to drop. You're not going to be able to watch your favorite teams on TV. And I just think it's going to be the ruination of football if they don't come up with some sort of idea how to do this. I think all teams, I know this is not a fair world, but if you're really thinking about being fair, that would be the way for everybody to compete, have more money, and nobody gets left out. I think that's a great way to be. And I'm ranting again, so I'm sorry about every time I get on here, I have to rant.
No, well, that's what this show is for, Larry. This show is for passionate college football fans to rant. Absolutely. And you know what, man? I do not disagree with you. Like, as a fan perspective, I would love for there to be 72 athletic departments all with the same resources, competing at the same level with resources in football, basketball, and any other sport. As a fan, I would love that. As a college football's peek around the corner host, I just don't see how we get there. That's my, it's my job to figure out what's coming next, and I just don't see what's coming next. If someone could, now again, Larry, I'm not the brightest bulb in the refrigerator. I just know where every refrigerator is in every place I walk into. But I'm not the brightest bulb. If someone could sit me down and explain to me and say, if we do this 72 team thing, everyone's going to have a couple $100 million coming to them. I want to know how that can be true when the Big Ten added Oregon and Washington and only could give them half share. Like, I don't understand why the floodgates would open up on a 72, but they would not open up on a Big 12 going from 16 to 20. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it. No one has explained it to me either. And I've asked, but no one seems to have an answer. I don't get it. I do not get why going to 72, we are all standing around singing "Happy Days Are Here Again." I don't get it. But then again, I'm not too bright. But if someone can sit me down and explain it to me, I would love to listen. But I agree with you as a fan, Larry. I absolutely agree with you as a fan. Go on, sir.
Well, I think I've heard that private capital is not only bringing money in. But from what I understand, they have got the media market all lined up. So they all there's going to be streaming and private capital and CBS, NBC, and all of them involved in this deal where there would be one sort payment goes to a central CFB Sports headquarters, and they would distribute it equally to all schools. And it would be done, every school would be on at different times on different TV screens. Like one week your team might be on Netflix, and the next week you're on TBS, and the next week you're on ESPN, and the next week you're on NBC or ABC or Fox or whatever. From what I understand, that's what they're doing, is combining all the levels together. So if it works out, I think it would be a great thing. If it don't work, if it's not feasible, then I'm with you. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. All righty, man.
But that's the way I understood.
Yeah, you understand it better than I do, sir. Look, this is all high finance. I'm lucky to have 2 quarters rubbing together in my pocket. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I've heard that in 2030, 2031 area is when they're going to try to do this.
All right. Well, so if that's the case, we should see some evidence that this is happening around 2027, 28, 29. But,
right.
We'll see. We'll see. Thank you, Larry.
Hey, listen, thank you for taking my call, as always.
You got it,
and
buddy.
I appreciate your show. Most of the time I don't get on when you're live, but I watch every show you have, and I sure appreciate you. You do better than anybody in this field of YouTube. I love your show.
Thank you,
thanks
Larry.
A lot,
that means so much to me, and it means a lot to my wife as well. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it.
You make sure you say hi to her, will you? The little general's boss.
The little general. Yeah, she rules with an iron fist. That's all I can say, man.
Thanks again.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye. Beautiful call by Larry Andrick, Mr. Mountaineer. Hammer Hennison, Wolverine, thank you for the super chat. If there is to be any sort of cap, it should have been per sport, so schools can compete at the highest level in multiple sports. And we talked about that in a couple live shows ago. I think I named it. I forgot what I named the live show. Something along the lines of Tony Patini and Greg Sankey screwed up. They screwed it up. I can't remember the title, but in my speech bubble, there's a picture of Patini and Sankey. Yeah, they've got one salary cap, and they should have had at least 2 different salary caps. And I think they would have been. I think they could have gotten that done with the House lawyers. I think they would have been fine. The House lawyers' back pay it's like 75% go to the football players.
Call from
Rick.
Rick, can you hold on for just a second, please?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. The settlement, the back pay of the 400,000 student athletes, it was based upon the 75% to the football players, 15% to the men's basketball players, and then the other 10%, some other smaller percentages. Why didn't they do that with the rev share? Go have a certain cap with football, certain cap with basketball, for everybody to sign on, but they didn't do it. Again, look, I get in trouble when I say this, but and I seem to be the only one saying this. I'm going to say it again before we get to Rick. I do not believe. Now, everybody relax when I say this. You can disagree, but, don't try to be too hard on me in the chat room here. But I don't think history is going to be kind to Sankey and Petiti. I think now a lot of it is out of their control, but what is in their control, like communication and other things, I think it's all gone pear-shaped. I don't think history will be kind. When we eventually get where we need to get to, it's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money, opportunity, a lot of angst, a lot of stress. And I don't think we had to go through all that. Rick, the floor is yours.
Well, really enjoying the show, and I really like that article from Dennis Dodd. I think my favorite part of the article were some quotes from a Mr. Casey Wasserman.
Yes.
Where he says, we're at the fork in the road no matter what anybody says.
Yeah.
College football is either leaving the current structure and keeping all the money, or they're staying. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, in other words, if they stay the way it is, they're going to be losing money. If they're able to change structure, they're going to be keeping a lot more of it from his perspective, correct?
Well, yeah, they're not losing money if they stay.
They're just not, they're leaving money on the table.
They're leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
And then he's listed as one of the most powerful entertainment and sports executives in the world as the head of the Wasserman Group. That's his title.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna leave a lot out here, but I'm gonna Rick. Right now, I'm winking at you. You see me winking at you?
Yeah. But wait, there's more.
Wait a second. I just want to explain who Wasserman is in the world of that I'm from. Wasserman. First of all, Wasserman wanted UCLA to target PJ Fleck. And I'm going to throw up the fingers allegedly, but I don't, because that's just one of those things. But PJ Fleck wasn't interested because UCLA is broke right now, whatever. Wasserman is part of the UCLA boosters. He used to play a bigger part of it, but then he kind of threw his hands up. He threw his hands up during the this last era of Chip Kelly. And let's just say he is one powerful dude. Like when I'm talking about money perch, he's at a perch higher than basically all these other money perch guys when it comes to influence in sports media. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and then the other quote of his in the article was much deeper into the article, where he refers, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't get to the point where it's at as much as I want to.
Yeah, it happens to me all
the time.
Oh, wait a
minute. Here it is. Where he refers to the Big Ten and the SEC as the AFC and the NFC. Did you see that?
Yep, I did. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
He sees it.
I'm sorry,
When people
what?
ask, he sees it.
Yeah.
He sees the correlation
Yeah.
of the Big Ten and the SEC as being the NFC and the AFC.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with them. And that's why I say this, them going together, breaking away, that could happen.
And I agree with you
Yeah.
that history will not be kind to them for destroying college football.
And limiting opportunities. Because and this is where it gets back to when I go on my soapbox. We can't treat college sports as amateurism anymore. But we can't quite treat it as professionalism either. For many reasons. And one of the reasons what I fail to talk about a lot is one of these athletic departments, one of their missions was to create as much opportunity as possible for student athletes. Just like your band, the bands out there, they want to get as many band members, they want to get as many flute, they want to get as many trombones in college for opportunities for these students, musical students, to get on and have this experience. College research, college education, sports is about creating more opportunities. The Big Ten, and this is one of the things I will tip my cap to the Big Ten, is their culture. They have more sponsored sports. They wanted to build as much opportunity as possible. But if you go in the direction of, this is why I want the G5 to stay with playoff access, because it helps them pay their bills for opportunities for the student athletes. This is why I don't want the Big Ten and the SEC to break away. Because once they break away, it's going to diminish opportunities across the country at this level. It just is. Because the money ain't going to be there. Rick, I'm sorry to hop in on you, but go ahead.
No, that's okay. I can see one possible way of it possibly coming out okay for everyone. And that would be if the Big Ten and the SEC broke off and they did create this thing, but everybody acknowledged that what they created is not college football. And that what is college football after this breakaway, what is really college football, is the Big 12, the ACC, and the G6. That's college football. And if you love college football, that's what you're going to have to love. If you love pro football, you're going to love the NFL and the new Big Ten SEC league.
Yeah.
And you'll have to separate them. You can't think the way you used to think. Yeah. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it, Rick. Great call. Helmer Hennison, thank you so much for your incredible generosity this evening. Really unbelievable. Thank you so very much. There should be a cap for hockey so Greg's Gophers don't run off with all the titles. Mr. Helmer Hennison. The Gophers can't run off with all the titles. It don't matter. It don't matter if there's a cap or not a cap in hockey. Gophers spend the most money in hockey. They make the most money in hockey. But it don't matter. It don't matter. The Gophers are going to have the biggest NIL in hockey. It doesn't matter. They're not going to run off with titles, plural. They're not even going to run off with a title. Why? Because this is Loserville City and I am the mayor. That's why. You've just ripped open another vein, Mr. Henderson. The Gophers have got everything you possibly could want. All the advantages in the world. And we can't get it done. We can't get it done. Because I'm the mayor. Unfortunately. Mr. Helmer Henderson, I want to thank you for all your generosity tonight. I also want to thank John Teal, Ricky Tungate. Holy smokes. Thank you guys so much. If you're new to the channel or if you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. Smash that like button as well. We are going to have a very busy week next week. Extremely busy week. April 7th is going to be bonkers. Judge Wilkins, California, plus that jellyfish. We got April 8th, April 9th, stuff going on in the Capitol. On Thursday, 4 o'clock, I think 4 o'clock Eastern time, I'm going to be on the Mark Rogers show. So I'm either going to be doing a live show before that or after that. We'll figure it out. So catch me on the Mark Rogers show on Thursday. But it's going to be a very busy week. Buckle up. Brace for impact. I want to thank you all for joining me. I do very much appreciate it. Great comments. Great phone calls. We had a lot of fun. Once again, buckle up. Keep your head on a swivel. We could come on live at any time. This is going to be the month of breaking news. April is going to be crazy. Until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.